Hi everyone, I'm Gia. Today's topic will be Iris Van Herpen. Iris Van Herpen is one of my favorite designers that have driven me to take in fashion as seriously as I do now. So I just want to spend this time to shed some light on who she is as an artist, what her work consists of, and why it inspires me so much. If you are interested in any of the articles that I used to put together this video, I will have my sources cited down below. So first and foremost, who is Iris Van Herpen and why do we care? Iris Van Herpen is regarded as one of fashion's very own forward-thinking designers. Born in the Netherlands, she is widely renowned for her futuristic and darkly fantastical aesthetic. From discovering garments and costumes in her grandmother's attic to being trained in classical ballet, the designer has always had roots in elegance. I love how her fascination for fluidity and the entangled art of movement are described as these extensions of how the body and the mind contemplate movement through a sensorial design philosophy. As a neuroscience major, it's actually really funny. Like in our department, a lot of the time we're always joking. Neuroscience majors are always either minoring or double majoring in like theater or dance. Like me, for instance, shout out to my Evo crew if you guys are watching. That's my dance crew. Spending so much time learning about the brain and the way that like we form connections. I think what's so fascinating is I just like to see how people express that relationship, whether it's in dance, whether it's in art. I just feel like there's so many creative ways that people tell their story of how their brain and their body connect. And if you want to go into like a super lofty neuroscience debate about whether consciousness is a product of our body or whether our consciousness is something separate, seeing Iris Van Herpen's work definitely raises those same questions for me. So next, moving on to her work and why I'm so interested in it to begin with. Iris Van Herpen's vision is guided by the human anatomy and the way woman moves. There is something so fascinating about her multi-dimensional silhouettes that sculpt the body in such ways to create this otherworldly portrayal of the human body and spirit. Astrologically, while I was reading her bio on her website, she used like Mercury, and also just like the way the body, the mind like connect. I got a lot of like Scorpio energy, mystery and the chaos, Taurus and Libra type of placements for like the beauty design, kind of just naming out of my ass. Her actual sign is a Gemini. Main thing that I want to talk about in relation to her work, Iris Van Herpen draws inspiration from the elements of water, air, and earth, liquescent, diaphanous, or textural forms that sculpt her celestial design. Her interests have led her into exploring wide webs, sound waves, somatic patterns, synapses, magnetism, symbiosis, voltage, or kinetic movement. My STEM brain is going off the wall with this. The way that she's masterly like translated what I would consider to be like pretty abstract in theory into these beautiful clothing pieces and these like sensational, almost like experiential type of like haute couture. It just warms my spirit so much, you know? What I read in my textbooks has been tastefully translated into art, and it's inspiring on so many different levels. I loved how she's crafted such niche topics and incorporated them into her work. In particular is Ramon E. Cajal, one of the world's first neuroscientists. I was like, when I first read that and I had just like kind of went over it in my lecture, I was like, she knows something. According to LinkedIn, Iris Van Herpen stands for reciprocity between craftsmanship and innovation in technique and materials. She has always drawn inspiration from architecture. Just like fashion, it derives from the expression of self, culture, and community that reflect the times and fabrics of society. Iris Van Herpen definitely likes to play with a contrast in hard and soft, with structure and organic elements in her work. Even just reading through her webpage, the language was so flowery. It really like just speaks to my soul, because as someone who always writes in like flowery type of language and has always been critiqued for that, I'm just gonna quote a little bit of what I don't even know if she wrote this, somebody else probably wrote this. Through biomimicry, the Maison visualizes and materializes the invisible forces that shape our world, perpetuating a deep sense of organic presence. And then also, whether drawing from the intricate web of nature, the structural philosophy of living architecture, or fluid anatomy of the body, the vision of Iris Van Herpen encircles the female form. I think that really just kind of captures what her work focuses on. And this leads me into another topic. The female body is such an interesting thing to explore from the lens of fashion, because when it comes to inspiration, like as an artist, or market research in terms of like brand to consumer, I don't know, it always seems like women are the centerpiece of what sets fashion styles and the pacing of trends for a particular period. And I mean, I've even heard this so much in statistics, is like the biggest consumer is women, especially like young women. It's your biggest market. It's just interesting to see how an artist interacts with the women in their life, like Iris Van Herpen and her connection with her grandmother, particularly when male artists talk about being so fascinated by the female body and how they interact with the female body. I feel like it's always interesting to see how they view the human body as like, especially the female body, as a sort of vessel of life, how it expresses not just feminine qualities but also masculine qualities. This perfect human canvas that everyone seems to be obsessed with. Everyone. It's really interesting. I don't know. That's just me though. So now going into my top 3 favorite Iris Van Herpen collections. Earthrise is her most recent collection, and the themes of this collection are freedom, adventure, exploration, and fearlessness. This design perfectly embodies these elements as world champion skydiver Amitili Kiger, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, dynamically modeled her clothes in a skydiving photo shoot. Iris Van Herpen combined fearlessness of hawk tour with the fearlessness of skydiving, as they both embody the traditional symbolism of flying. Leave aside everything that you hold to the ground. The designer incorporated this adventurous athleticism. When I look at this collection, I can feel this strong sense of exploration. There's this playful curiosity. It gives a sense of youthfulness. Every children's movie that I watch centered around water gives this sense that the world provides, like naturally, this rich source of abundance and resources and security that should allow for the freedom to use Earth as a playground, as a natural playground. And some of these pieces for me really do emulate the feeling of falling out of the sky, and not in a tragic way, but in a Howl's Moving Castle kind of way. It's giving this sense of thrill and spontaneity that is not necessarily coming from like the initiator of that spontaneity, like the person that's like, let's go do something fun, but it's more of the vibe of someone who's like always down, you know? The person's like, who's down to have fun? The first person that's like, yeah, I'm down for whatever. It gives me that kind of vibe. I don't know how to explain it. It's just this weird distinction. It's this sense of like, it's pulling me into adventure. I feel like I'm being drawn in, lured into an adventurous experience. These collections don't give me a sense of chase. It gives me a sense of wander in a very open way. So not wandering as in like lost, just more of like curious and open, and like the vulnerability and natural thrill that it comes with risk taking, which also comes from like being young, like youthfulness. I don't know. Sounds like a mouthful. That is the vibe that I got from the Earthrise collection. Next, moving on to the Sensory Seas collection. Oh my goodness, it was one of the first collections that really drew me into Iris Van Herpen. This collection is very special to me. From her website, it says, Iris Van Herpen draws inspiration from the sensory processes that occur between intricate composition of the human body mirrored with the fibrous marine ecology of our oceans. The first threads of inspiration come from the Spanish neuroanatomist Ramon y Cajal. He wanted to uncover something that no one had yet understood. He questioned, does the brain engage in conversation with its counterparts? So he was basically learning about synapses. Exploring our central nervous system in microscopic detailing, Cajal documented his revolutionary findings through anatomical drawings that are considered amongst the world's greatest scientific illustrations. Hunched over his microscope, he merged science with art and brought to life the threads of our enchanted biology to the human eye. So that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, that inspiration from neuroscience that she draws in. That was really like my first encounter with Iris Van Herpen, and like what really struck my interest when I found out she was taking all these sources of inspiration into her work. I was like, so it's possible for me to live like my interest of science and everything and pursue my creative passion for art and fashion at the same time. She really was like the first person to kind of show that to me. I was so excited to see someone turn something so niche into something so beautiful. And I'm just really still speechless about this collection. I feel like these looks really emulate like sound waves and synapses, and the collection really brings out like how synapses are like electrochemical. There's this dynamic structure that gives off this electric, like futuristic vibe in certain areas that like emphasize certain silhouette. The way that it frames is kind of like this explosion of energy. How a synapse is kind of like a firing. The way that energy is like translated through the body is really captured in this collection. I wish I had more technical language to describe how I feel this way. From the perspective of someone studying neuroscience, this was really exciting to engage with. On to my last favorite collection, because I'm only going to stick with 3. The Shift Souls. Really like my first encounter with Iris Van Herpen's work. In 2019, Iris Van Herpen presented her Shift Souls at the Palais des Beaux-Arts in Paris. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. This collection was inspired by early examples of celestial cartography and its representations of mythical and astrological chimera. I feel like I said that wrong. Sorry. One source of inspiration in particular was the Harmonica Macrocosmica, the star atlas created by the German-Dutch cartographer Andreas Celarius, published in 1600. So similar to how I felt with the Sensory Seas collection, this collection gave me a very intimate feeling. The colors were so vibrant and every piece felt like a splash of force, like a splash of energy. You know how I was like firing synapses? This one was more just like splash. It gives me very like watery vibes, but not so much as Sensory Seas, because Sensory Seas is literally like water. So this collection delivered a range of how I feel about like sound and water, and how they are like both things that you cannot truly contain, as its particles allow for like fluidity in their movement. So these pieces were truly mesmerizing, as they've set like a new standard for me when it comes to haute couture. The way that these clothes shape the body make each model to appear as some type of fairy of some sort, this otherworldly kind of creature that operates in harmony with the rest of the universe. So my final thoughts. Iris Van Herpen's work for me is truly an experience. As I've been recording this videos and hearing myself talk, the theme of my channel is kind of like science and fashion, or like data science, tech and fashion, kind of like looking at the crossroads between those things. Iris Van Herpen is like just perfect for like, I have to do like a little mini case study on her. She is like the definition of everything that I'm trying to study right now. She did ballet. I did ballet when I was younger. Here I go, do like naming like random things, like I can relate to her, I can relate to her. When I look at her work, I'm like, I see myself in this, in a sense. What I mean by that is like, I don't know, like it inspires me in its own unique way. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too boring, too lengthy. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video.
Wake up in the morning, knowing I do this shit.